It was bound to happen. It was bound to happen. This loss had been coming. There's a couple of things that you speak about in this game, even from Supersport's side. I don't think Gavin would allow himself to lose 4 games in a row or to lose to a team that he's seen. He gave a podcast interview where he spoke about some of the weaknesses that Kaizer Chiefs has, and he highlighted some of the things that for sure he was going to implement when they met Chiefs again. I've said it once and I've said it many times here. I love Coach Nabi. I love the team that he's building, and I love the work that he's done with our forwards. But for a long time, I've just been thinking that our forwards have been covering our defensive mistakes. So what happened in this game was that our forwards became ineffective, and you started to see some of the mistakes without defense. I know it's 1 goal, but it's a goal that we've seen plenty of times, or it's a threat that we've seen plenty of times that hadn't been worked on. I think to start off with Supersport, this is the Gavin Hunt we know. This is the Supersport that we know. I think Supersport was caught up with trying to play the ball and, push people forward and play on the front foot and, take risks with their defending. You see this one that scores a goal on a counter from the wide areas into the box goal. Fine, it may not have been a header, but it's something that they do a lot. And then shutting up shop. That is how Gavin Hunt wins games. That is how Gavin Hunt approaches these games. What they did today was a combination of a couple of games that we've seen from Supersport. But the one that I take most from is the game that they played versus mamelodi Sundowns. Particularly the first half of the game they played. Because what they came to grips with is that they're not a ball-playing team. They're not an exciting team. All they can do is be disciplined and wait for their chances. So in that Sundowns game, they kept their shape and they didn't move. They allowed Sundowns to have the ball, but in non-dangerous areas of the pitch. So you can keep the ball. But if we suffocate Usirino and make sure that the ball doesn't get to him, we've solved your whole attack. If we stop Ushabalala from getting those link-up balls, we've stopped your whole attack. And for me, they came here for a draw. But they took advantage of some sloppy defense and they came out with the win. In the second half, Chiefs again had the ball, but for lack of better play, they couldn't take advantage. But Supersport was still very structured and very disciplined in the way that they'd set up. When we go to Chiefs, sorry to interrupt the video that I'm sure you're enjoying, but I just wanted to say thank you for all of the support that you guys have shown me and my Overthinking Football platform. I'm a one-man band that's doing all of this, and I really do enjoy the comments about how, Supersport needs to come fetch me and SABC and all of that stuff. And I think it speaks to the quality of the content, but also the amount of effort that I put in. So I just wanted to say thank you. But the truth is that Abu Supersport and all of those guys, yes, we're competing with them, but it's a completely different place. The sponsors are looking for former players, and to be honest with you, running some of these things is getting so difficult and things have changed at home. So financially, it's a whole different world. So I wanted to try something new and come to the overthinkers, the people who watch the content, and say it would be incredible if you guys could contribute monthly towards the platform, towards keeping my lights on, but also making sure that all of the crazy things that I want to do, that I want to take Supersport on with, I can actually do. And just for 20 Rand every month, I think that would be an incredible contribution if you can make it. It may sound like a little, but if we can get a lot of people behind it, then we'll be able to carry on doing what I do. I'll be able to carry on giving you the content and also expanding it, because we don't have shows like this, and us content creators need help from our audiences. So I just came here to ask you if you can. Here is the account number that you guys can use in order to contribute. And I think, yeah, I'd be very grateful if you would. But anyway, let's get back to the video. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We need to come up with a plan B as the Kaizer Chiefs. So you need to know that, okay, we've been playing through Sireno. We've been playing in a lot of open games. So the games that we've been played and we've loved are open. It's games where a transition, a counter-attack will get us their goal, get us our goals, and we overwhelm the defenders in the counter-attack. Win the ball back, 2-3 passes, you're in the other box, or Sirino is standing in front of the box with a Shabalala that's making a decoy run. You've got a Chivavairo that's keeping the defense busy, and maybe the option of Uduba on the other side. Counter-attacking. But now, when the game slows down, and you can't use the physicality of Chivavairo because he's playing other big boys, Abo Tyson, Abo Alcon. There's a reason why Alcon made it into this team. He's playing other big boys. So you don't have a bully up front. You're playing a team that's willing to sit back in a mid-ish block. I'm not even going to say mid-block, but it's a mid-ish block, which means that you won't have the space. You have a team that has essentially man-marked Usirino out of the game. Now what do? Now when you look at the bench, do you have a Dupreez or somebody that can come into that game and change it for the team when you need it? How do you set up? Because I thought in the second half, after seeing what Supersport did in the first, the team would come a lot closer and it would be about being patient in the attacking areas and releasing somebody, preferably Dupreez. But what I saw was a bit of confusion because they started going wide, and that wide play suits Supersport because they've got two skyscrapers in the middle with Utaisin, no Okon, or at least players that are fine with a high ball, which means that with Castillo out of the game, you're only aiming at Uranga to try and complete those crosses. Then they finally, towards the end of the half, started coming together and playing the ball. Short, combining. Fundo, wonderful confidence, by the way. I love how he wills games. But they came in, but because Usirino's off, they couldn't, they didn't have somebody who could think it through, but also make that key final pass. A lot of the time, Abomdu maybe showed a little bit of their inexperience in rushing their passes and trying to make passes that maybe were it's too flashy. You're trying to take it that side where you could play a ball here. There were times where Dupreez could have crossed the ball back. There was a place where Dupreez could have crossed the ball back. So you could see a lot of players that have a lot of effort in them. They have a lot of, running in them. They're young. But you needed a director. And taking off Sirino lost us that director. And maybe that's something we need to worry about going forward. That how do you compensate for losing that player when you have to take them out or when they're marked out of a game? Onto the defense. I'm not going to say anything too different to what I've been saying over the past few weeks. We've got two problems with the defense. Two problems. Three. Let's make it three. We've got three problems with the defense. Number one, you've got your left and right back who are being overworked. They're being overworked because they've got no cover. So in this game, you saw Cross having to cover for Sirino. Now, for all the attacking power and prowess and the smarts and everything that Sirino has at the top there, he doesn't track back, which means that in the scheme-wise, you've got a back four, but then your one player has to go meet danger. So if you see Cross's positioning towards, at many times during that game, it was out wide to the line. And what happens then is that once that player goes wide, your two centre-backs have to decide whether to stick and wait for one of the defensive midfielders to come and cover, or because we might lose the ball high or lose the ball and face a counter-attack, the centre-back has to push out and go to the wing to cover the left-back. But when everything is happening in the moment, you now have a situation where any of those players that are coming to cover are already late. Cross has got a man. They've played someone through. Cross at some point was standing with Sirino like this. So anyway, ball is played through. Now, because this man is late, your centre-back, and everybody has to come across. Throstler is also very slow, but everybody has to come across. That's where the goals come from. Because there's two spaces you can exploit there. You can exploit the space between the two centre-backs. When the other one is pushed, there's a gaping space right in the middle. Or if that one pushes in, you can go far post. think about the goal that Magesi scored versus the Pirates, where Usbisi was basically marking two men far post because everybody had shifted across. And that is something that happens too many times, especially on whichever side Serino is on, because you don't have that cover. Duba at times does come back for Frosler, but in the game, I'm forgetting the game, I think it was the Sundowns game, Serino was playing on the right-hand side, and the same thing happened to Frosler. And I think we're being way too confident in defense to think that these players are so good that even with all of that happening, they will be able to cover, to communicate properly, to do this, to do that, to move like this, to move like that, right? And you know, we're trusting them to have a relationship that they don't have right now. And what's sad is that this is not a new thing to Kaizer Chiefs at the back. It's not a new thing to Kaizer Chiefs when you come to the second problem, which is the DMs. We used to see the same thing with Msimango and Ditlokwe. Msimango, the moment you move the two from the center to the side, you lose them because they're not good at defending wings. Then you add on top of that the fact that Umikel, I'm starting to get worried because he's a bit too active. He wants to be too much in the game. So he also leaves his position. So at times you are finding Frosler with Dudley or covering, or he runs out and goes to the wing. There was a chance where Supersport were on a counter, it was 2v2. The man was covered by Dudley, but Miguel was still coming over to help for some reason. And a ball was played to the other side where luckily we were able to recover. But that was basically one-on-one with the goalkeeper. That's a goal that Mamelodi Sundowns scored, I believe it was Matthews, because Miguel made the same undisciplined move to come inside, ill-disciplined move to come inside and leave a man running behind him. And that's where communication and awareness comes in, but also your defensive midfield play. So maybe one of the things you could do is push Miguel into defensive mid, have him Simango and Dudley play together, and then you know that fine, you know defensively he's still sound, but he's not going to hurt you when he moves out. This is something also, if you remember way back, that used to happen with Cardoso and Matoho, where Cardoso was first respondent. He used to run out immediately, and then leave a space directly behind him where balls used to be played in, and because Matoho was slow, he couldn't quite get there. And in the moment, your left back doesn't have enough information to go back, doesn't have enough time to go back and cover. So Chiefs really need to look at this. It's either push somebody into the midfield, change the double pivot, make it one player in CDM. Make it one player who is basically ready for anything that goes wrong. So if they catch us on a counter, if they win the ball back, they can quickly come back and make it a 3. So that if that guy is gone, your right back goes or your left back goes and your center back goes to cover, at the very least you stay with 4 men and you can ask your other DM to just watch there while your left or right back recovers. It's a system problem. I don't want to say that it's a player problem. I shy away from calling the players bad, but like I said, this was something that was going to be exposed at some point. What happens when you play a team that is not excitable, that is disciplined? What happens when you play a team that scores a goal and goes 1-0 up and decides to defend? What happens then? How do you come up with your chances? I think we started playing, we had the ball, but I don't think we're making enough dangerous movements. It comes down to a lucky shot or a cross, maybe making a cross being a mistake or something. So let's see how it goes from here. I think there are valuable lessons to learn. I think we needed to get caught out by someone so that we can call out our mistakes. And I know it was a 1-goal loss. It's not the end of the world. But as I've been saying up to this point, I love what Chiefs is doing. I love what Nabi's done with that team. But we still have some weaknesses that could be fatal if we meet the right team. So let's see how it goes. We're going to be playing, I believe it's Makesi next. Miguel misses that game. So we're probably going to see Simango come in to there. And yeah, let's see if we can fix the 6 and we can communicate better, even if it's not communication, give them a system, tell them where to go, tell them where to run, so that we're not leaving it up to them. They're not together enough yet. They don't have a relationship enough yet to be able to do those things. It's a little bit advanced for this time of the building, but losses will happen. Kudos to Supersport. I think they'd gone on a 3-match losing streak. They can't make it 4. He needs to arrest it, the decline. But what I enjoy about what we saw with Supersport now is maybe Gavin was trying to be fancy and do all of these modern, quote-unquote, modern football things. And now he's gone back to the Supersport football that used to make them finish 3rd. Supersport football that was predictable. And now that they've lost Grobler, Morris is going to hurt a lot of teams, but it feels like he's got a vendetta versus Chiefs because he also hit the post in the other game and had a couple of chances. He's got a vendetta, man. He's seeming like a Victor Litswalo when he comes and plays versus Kaizer Chiefs. But in any case, guys, the score ended with Supersport beating Chiefs 1-0, and that is how it ends. Thank you so much. I'll see you on the next one.